Yogesh?
Hey, sorry. Took me a minute to find my mute button. It must be like me who forgets to log in, so logs in early.
I'm just happy I made it through another week without emailing you instead of my boss.
What's going on? How are things?
Yes, well, I have so many Yogeshes that I work
Oh, that.
and
I
my
guess
boss
must
is
have-
Yogesh also.
Yeah, I guess must have been a popular name back in the day. Yeah.
Well, it's funny because I've lived in Jamaica, Holland, and America. I have pronunciations of my name differently. So in Jamaica, it's Unk, so it's a silent H. In Holland, it's Hank with an E, and here it's Hank.
Nice. How are things down in Austin?
I'm doing okay. It's been cold. I walked out and had ice on my car Thursday.
Yeah. Yeah, today warmed up, so I'm happy.
It's supposed to warm up this
Houston,
weekend.
so warmed up sooner here, I guess. But yeah.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I gotta go for a second. My bird is yelling because he can hear me talking.
Hi, Mita.
Hi Yogesh, how are you?
Good, and you?
Yeah, pretty good. Hi Vilas. Hi Hank.
Hi, Vilas. Hi again.
Hey everyone.
Hey, should we think? Hey, Tomar, good to have you. Let's just. How do you say your name, Tomar? Is it how you say it?
Yes, yes. How are you
Okay.
doing? You
Good.
got
How
it
are you?
right. You got it right the first time.
I was going to ask. We could never find a better time than this, but I don't know if folks make the ask again that a Friday evening is too inconvenient for certain people, then we might try to find a better time, especially if folks from other geos which are ahead of us are joining. I tried it one time, but then it did not go anywhere. I know sometime back ARM had complained that their guys cannot join because they are more towards on the east side of the globe. I think the biggest challenge is to find a time. This was the only time when everyone could meet. So
Yeah, Friday afternoon.
Yeah, because no one else wanted to schedule a meeting at 5 p.m. on Friday at East Coast.
yeah. Only saddest RAS mindsets. Right.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I'm fine with this time, right? But you're right. I mean, it does limit participation from Europe and Asia.
Yeah, and I'm not really, I was thinking for some time having like a split series, half of the times morning of the, but it just is, it's too inconvenient for most people's calendars, right? First, people don't remember, and second, it's conflicts kind of tend to multiply by 2. So, but anyway, I think Drew said he's not going to be able to join today. Antonio is going to be late too. Last week I wasn't here, but I heard Anil was not able to join because he was on vacation. Let's give it maybe another minute or so, and then, or maybe let's start collecting any opens if you have any opens. Maybe I can start by welcoming our newest members one more time, Tomer from Synopsys, right, and Mita from Pure Storage. Welcome. Good to have you here.
Thank you so much for having us. Having me. Yeah.
Since we have a minute, I actually had a question. How do I figure out who's from which company? I mean, some people have it on their Zooms, but I can't tell for everyone.
Yeah, I think that's probably the best to request people to write in their Zoom name which company they're from. They can edit it from those 3 dots, I think, above their name window. The 3 dots,
Yeah,
and
but
it has
that's
magic.
strictly voluntary. Some people
Of
like
course.
to be anonymous.
Yeah, and
It is.
Yogesh, I've tried that. Micron has some policy on our Zoom that changes it back.
Oh wow.
So I've tried to get it to stay. Haven't been able to.
And funny thing is letting me change yours. Let me try, because Micron will change it back anyway. Hey, I did it for you.
Well, there you go. Maybe that'll stick for these ones at least.
Yeah, let's see.
Is there like a member list somewhere also, or
I think it's in the groups.io. There is a directory on groups.io site. There's a
Okay.
directory where, again, there also, it's up to the folks to disclose however much they want to about their company and whatnot.
Yeah.
I think everyone should have this link to, oh, sorry, wrong one. This one is FMFM. So any opens?
Hey, Yogesh.
Okay.
I have a logistical open or question for you. How can I access the past recordings?
So yeah, that is something that is not automated yet. I can make a request to our IT specialist, Kevin Kiefer. He could help put all the Zoom recordings so far on on the wiki, I guess, or wherever he stores them, and share
Yeah.
the link on groups.io. But yeah, that
So-
process is supposed to be automated. It is not yet. Yes, John.
Oh yeah. So yeah, I have the same problem too. So they actually have a dedicated person to do all this, and so don't hesitate to send it to Kevin. He'll forward it to this person who comes on and does that. So before my meetings, I always check the my wiki to see if the last one was updated. If it isn't, then I ask for it and it appears. So
Okay.
I encourage you to keep an eye on it, especially since you guys have weekly meetings. that he gets it into his rhythm, that there's always a presentation to upload.
Okay.
But
Yeah,
but yes,
so-
Kevin is trying to automate that, and the move to Zoom will help that. But before, when it was GoToMeeting, they actually had to convert it before they posted it, which caused another funnel to be in the way. So I think moving to Zoom makes it easier for him to do that migration.
Right. Yeah, so I'll send it out to Kevin if he can help with that.
I just found out that the last recorded on the wiki is from August 18th. So at least
Was
till
it
August 18th, we are
from
up to
this
date.
year or last year?
This year, 2023. So we
Okay.
are not that far off. A few more recording need to be added there, and we will be that far.
Okay, the person who asked that question, do you know where to find those recordings?
Yeah, I do, and
Okay.
that's the question because of what Anil just said. I wanted to look at the last one and just been a number of them missing. Yep.
Yeah, I just pasted the link in case anyone on this call doesn't have.
Yeah, thanks, Anil. I was looking for that link too for Wiki. Yeah. The other things that need to be updated on Wiki too, for example, links to, as they become available, links to the presentations and whatnot. Yes, Rama, you have a question.
No, after you finish this topic.
No, I think this logistics question, we have some things to update.
Okay,
And
okay. Yeah, I have a question. Anil, like we started this PCIe thing, right? Is it in the latest copy is in the same wiki folder? I want to start adding some things to that.
What is that, Rama?
PCIe, we thought like we'll prioritize the PCIe fault.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is on the Google Drive. So
It is on the Google.
Yeah.
Okay.
do you have a link handy, Anil, for that one?
Yeah.
Drop it in.
I
think I found it. Let me drop the link. I found it just now. Somehow it's not. Okay, got it. There you go. So here is the link to that. And let me real quick. Share it as well.
Yeah, sorry. Like, is the one of the agenda? I think last week we discussed. We missed Anil. We want to prioritize the PCI.
Yeah. So getting to the regular agenda items. I think one of the things we can get into our we have multiple efforts going on right now, right? So first and foremost, we contributed the out-of-band version of the hardware fault management framework, but we did talk about exploring what needs to be done on the invent side. And Anil, I think you tried to work with CSM, but they have other stuff going. Their focus is slightly different, if not just broader than RAS. So that is one thing I wanted to discuss. How do you propose we go about it? That is to explore invent what I think it's going to be a process just like this to collect the pain points, to discuss how we can address them, and to append or update the framework in a manner that it coexists with the out-of-band framework that we have. So
we discussed it, and the proposal was to update the existing requirement document That means right now we published 1.0, right? So we should work on 1.1 version. And I don't think we close on how logistic of whether we should create a separate file or freeze this file or make a PDF of 1.0, which is already published, contributed, and then continue to use the same file by revving revising it to 1.1.
Right.
So that we don't
from the
create a new
contributions perspective, absolutely, Anil, we will do that. But what I was thinking was for the discussion and brainstorming purposes, if you start another Google document, just invent hardware management pain points and start putting your thoughts there, and everyone can start contributing and we can start commenting. Once we distill our thoughts from that through that process, then we can find a way to add or figure out a way to whether we need to have an addendum appendix, or we can inline go and find places where we can say, okay, this can also be done in the in-band method in this manner. We have an in-band version of the document, out-of-band version of the diagram. Sorry, we can figure that out. But I think the first step is to do that, do the brainstorming process, right? To start a list of things that that exist, things that need enhancements or just are missing, right? So let's start that through a document. What do you say to that? Do you think that's the right way to go about that?
Yeah, so like just a working raw high level bullet points kind of thing.
Yeah, can I add one comment? I think we have I think that is very good idea. I think we also started this PCI work. Okay, can we get to like some kind of minimum 0.3, 0.5 version before we take up the new work, if you all guys agree? Because I really like the work Anil started on the PCIe. We want to expand on that. Try to finish it before we jump to the new one, if you all guys agree.
There's going to be overlap, Rama, anyway, right? So, which is fine. I think let's just focus on PCIe, and that will drive invent concepts.
That will
also.
drive. Yeah.
Right?
Because that's what my yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Because is that okay, Yogesh? We'll try to finish the PCIe, the one we started.
Yeah. So we have 4 efforts going in parallel: error injection, PCI pain points. We have one of them is kind of complete, and then we have invent. So yeah, I mean, whatever everyone agrees to, we can prioritize that one. If we need a polling on that, we can start a poll also. But I think I think it's a good idea to focus on one thing and get that done.
Yeah.
We have fleet memory, which is meeting at a separate time, and I think that was another idea which we can entertain. We can start a parallel IIO pain points work stream if that's what is needed. Let's talk about it.
Yeah. Good question. And also right now we are already doing a parallel work of hardware memory fault management, RAS API, GPU fault management, right? I think we are bringing a lot of value. I think choosing between the again other parallel thing. I think I don't know we all have bandwidth.
I think there's also a meeting, OCP meetings overload. So one way to do that maybe to have 2 parallel streams going, but meet alternate weeks. And between between the meetings, we can work. We can add it through documents, and so we can do that. You can split this meeting into 2 bi-weekly meetings. One meets for IIO and error injection, or whatever way we decide.
I think I would vote for, if others agree, I think I would vote for PCIe. Okay, because there is also a lot of momentum, and I know Anil presented. I think even in our review, we are discussing for 1 hour after the meeting. Okay, there is a lot of momentum. I never saw when Anil is presenting before the OCP is early talk, we are all discussing for like 2 hours actually. It started with 15-minute talk, okay, and Drew villas and like maybe you are there and I am there. We are going because there is a lot of interest and there is a big problem to solve. Like I load for PCIe, like maybe if you're like
Oh,
others
so
can
why don't
vote
we
it.
do this, Rama? Let's start a simple poll, and by next week I think next week we'll have to cancel this meeting because of the Veterans Day holiday at a lot of places. But let me start a poll. I'll discuss and ask.
Do we need, Yogesh, do we need poll? Like, because we already agreed PCIe before. I'm okay with the poll.
Well,
like,
I think I think I like people to give a chance to chime
sure,
in.
sure.
I think
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
fair
No,
process to.
Yeah,
And then we can also ask questions like whether we want to split the meeting. I think that might be a good thing for some people because we have folks who work specifically on memory here, right? Now I don't know if you want to invest there. I mean, I think there's no place more fun than this meeting, but I don't know if they want to necessarily be here for IIO discussion. So we can discuss those possibilities.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Send the poll. Like I thought we did little poll like 1 month back, oral poll, not formal poll, but I'm okay with that.
Yogesh, do you also have information on the fleet memory fault management group? Is that a separate working group, and how do we participate there?
Yeah, so I'm pasting a link to that groups.io portal for that, and to subscribe you just have to send an email to this, and then you can the email address that I'm just posting, and then you can subscribe to the calendar and whatnot. The group meets alternate Tuesdays at 7 a.m. Pacific.
I see. Sounds good. Thank you very much.
Sure. Okay, any other open? By the way, I think I'm really liking that we have so many interests, and we actually have to debate about what we need to do first. So that's really great.
Yeah, I really like that. Yeah.
So Yogesh, I think we discussed last time. I'm not sure we close on it. Is the logistics of revising and providing additional further comments to the contribution we did.
So that document is still alive. We have created a 1.0 and we have contributed that. It's a live document. What I think the easiest process would be to start commenting on that and bring it here as an agenda item or as an open, however big the comment or change required would be, and we can all chime in and accept it, and that would be once we have enough of them, or we can decide when it's critical enough, we can version it.
So the contribution portal link is pointing to a PDF file.
So we are making changes to the file that we have been making. We have been making changes so far, right? That's the what's on the contribution folder is a PDF which is kind of frozen at that version. So now we'll have to version it, right? Because whatever new changes, we'll have to collect those, discuss those, accept those, and create a new version.
Okay, so you answered my question. Looks like so the version which is now on the contribution is a PDF version.
That's correct.
It's not because earlier. Initially, when it was contributed, it was pointing to the same Google file. That means if I make any change, it will show up in the contributed version.
Is it right? I don't think that was the case, but maybe I'm mistaken.
So
Which
the
Because
document are
sure.
we talking about?
I'm
So we made a contribution. It is called OCP Hardware Fault Management Requirements Framework. That PDF file, and let's see if I can find link to that. Sent it out as a message to the group some time ago.
so if I just opened it, I don't think this is PDF version, is it? Oh no, it is a PDF. My bad. Sorry, now it's PDF. So okay, good. I think we are good then. I don't know where exactly it is saved. Maybe we should put this PDF file to our folder as well, so that it's for at least for our working group, right? We have access to this pointer to PDF as well. But I think we are good now.
You can download from the contribution portal also, right?
Yeah, let me share my desktop so that folks can see what we are talking. Some of you guys may not be able to follow what we are saying. So can you see what I'm sharing? Am I sharing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is the OCP portal, and in the contribution, if you go to the database and just search, click fault. So this is the fault management requirement, and if you click that, so this is the file, and I see this is the PDF version. So now if I open the actual Google Doc, which is let's see, where is that OCP fault management. So this is a drive, and in this drive there is a work in progress. It is a folder structure regroup 1.0, right? So this is the one. So you want to clean this up, and we call this as a do not edit, so that there is only one file that we will edit. So now this is the one that if I open this and I can make the change, or I can add some comments here, right? It will not make any change to the contributor version. Is that right, Yogesh?
Yeah, I mean, that's a PDF. This is a Google Doc. So
Right.
obviously that's.
So should we, why don't you take a lead on this one and make this 1.1 draft?
What I'm suggesting is, I mean, this creates versions here, interim versions. We'll version it when we have enough comments collected, and when we all decide, okay, let's create a new version and update it to this name. File name doesn't matter really.
Okay.
It's not going to change anything.
All right. So then that's good. So let's converge on that. So folks, please review, and if you find any questions, comments, or suggestions to improve, add something, please start adding comments, and make sure we right now it's editing mode, so I will make it as a suggestion mode, so that I will not accidentally modify the file. I'll just add the comments. And I already found areas where I thought there was some inconsistency in the document. Not a big deal, but I want to make sure that we keep cleaning it up. So I'll start doing that. And likewise, anybody else has any suggestion, should do that as well. So that's all I want to discuss as a next step to fine tune this document.
Okay, and so that is that. And for the invent, you create a new document, invent pan points or whatever you want to call it, and start that jotting down what is. And if you want to remove this document or change the name of that document you're talking about, do it right away. The one that you said do not edit, add that. Go ahead and add that.
Oh, here restructured. This one, you
Yeah,
want to
if you
edit?
want to rename it, go ahead and do it. I think it might actually be, I don't know why it's there.
Okay. How do I edit? Maybe I need to open this
Okay,
first.
never mind then. I can do it later. It's okay.
Oh, no, I think this is what we will. This is how we will do. Am I suggesting? Yeah, I'm suggesting actually. Oh, I don't have any rights.
Okay. Yeah,
I think
yeah,
you,
maybe.
you, yeah.
I don't know. Okay. I don't know what that file is. So anyway, I can get rid of that. So,
Yeah.
okay, we resolved all that. Lots of time in logistics today. So you'll start the error injection. I'll launch a poll for meeting time and which projects when. Let's get to our regular business. Last week we were talking about error injection, I believe. Is that right, Vilas and others? You were here, right? I was out last week, but
Actually,
I think
maybe one more thing. Sorry, Yogesh. I
Go ahead.
noticed here there's a GPU accelerator RAS folder here. I don't think this belongs here.
No, it does because it was there because Rama and that work group asked for our feedback on the document. That's why it was there.
Oh, feedback. I see. Yes, sorry. So this is just for
Yes.
feedback. But then, what is the logistics of taking this feedback and rolling
Rama
up
is here,
into?
right? Rama is here. He can monitor that.
So Rama, are you aligned with that?
What is the question? Sorry.
So this forum has this copy 0.5
Okay.
versions feedback.
Yeah. Yes.
And any I don't know if there's any feedback yet in this one, but if there's any feedback, are you okay to
Yes.
take that and roll it up into
Yes.
the actual copy that? So just for
Yes.
other folks, right? The file that we are editing right now, we means the accelerator RAS working group, is on a SharePoint site. It's not on Google Drive. So that is the file that will eventually be published or contributed as 0.7 version. So any edits, any comment we provide in this document here, Rama will have to take that and then roll it up into the SharePoint site.
Yeah, I agree. That is the working model. Yes.
Okay.
And hopefully there'll be discussion about it too. So
we can use it.
That's where the most value is, right? So
And
kind of keeping in sync on and how we're thinking about these things.
Right.
Yeah, definitely. Like maybe like team, like if we go through this,
Yeah.
I know there will be very good feedback.
And Rama, what I would suggest is Rama, periodically bring topics from there as an agenda item. Better if we can send advance notice to members here, so not everyone has to think on the spot about things. But if we can send in ahead of time that, hey, this is the topic which kind of overlaps or can use some input from this group, let's keep that kind of a ongoing process, right?
Yeah. Like the timeline is like we are thinking through the 0.5 feedback. Like if we give it like we want to bring that feedback updated, and we're thinking that by November, December timeframe, like we can incorporate that feedback and open for discussion. Like give action item, we'll get like maybe after holidays. Okay, like I know we have only few weeks left. After holidays, we come and share like progress and okay.
So Rama, if there are not a lot of edits in that or comments in that document that Anil is showing right now, or was showing just a bit ago, maybe you need to actively.
Where is the TCI? For some reason I cannot get access to that.
Yeah, it is right here. So in the work in progress document folder.
Okay.
Let me do this way. I'm going to make a folder for PCIe error handling requirement. So let me just create a new folder here. How do I? New folder. Okay.
Maybe we can do that offline, Anil. So yeah.
Okay.
32 minutes into opens. Maybe
Sure.
good to start doing some real work.
Okay. So sorry, I interrupted you. Here's error injection, right? And so we started.
You want to start you want to start sharing that? Go ahead and share it. Let's yeah.
Yeah.
So
but I think
I
I
think
want to respect Rama's suggestion though.
Yeah.
So I mean, error injection also very important, but I think even more important right now is the PCIe error handling requirements.
I'll take you to dinner, Anil. I don't know where you're. I'll switch and jump onto PCIe.
you only say that after the OCP summit is over, Ram. I have noticed this.
No, my Microsoft looks like
No,
even
I'm
though
just
they have a
joking.
2.5 trillion, the right now like they have a strict travel budget.
Okay.
Alright.
So just to get going now, right? So right now there are 3 pain points have added here. One is from Drew, PCI error handling configuration that works for common OSs. And Drew is not here. Maybe once Drew is back, he can describe what the pain point here is. The second one I added here. I can describe this pain point. And the third one is the EDPC solution. So Rama, I modified a little bit here just now. Solution lacks end-to-end containment recovery support.
So
that's
all these 3 pain points are currently focused on. It seems like they're assuming native OS control. Of course, for recovery, there's no choice. But do we want to, think about when you're talking of configuration, we are assuming in the first case OS, right? Do we need to think about firmware first and out of band? What would be configurations for those? Or I guess it will vary in some cases based on what we're talking about, right?
So this method, this pain point is applicable for both in band and out of band. Okay.
I will add one more pain point. I don't know, some reason I'm getting access issues. This may will work with Yogesh after.
Let me make sure you guys have access to it. So let's see, Rama. Yeah, you're there.
Okay.
Can you share copy the link and share in the chat? And actually, I'll also send it as a message to the group, so it's in the email. Right where you are in the share, copy link, and anyone with the link can comment.
Yeah.
So if you go to share again.
I would like to add one more pain point regarding the link kind of issues, like getting into downgraded speed. Okay, want to see improving the telemetry. Once I get the access, I'll add and maybe work
Yeah,
with
no, I know exactly what you're talking about. I've run into the same issue. Existing AER. So the pain point is existing AER does not have any reporting method for link speed downgrade event.
There is a notification in the PCIe control register. Okay, it says that it can support MSI, but all devices are not supporting, and also the telemetry. Like I want to little bit discuss that common, like share the knowledge, get the knowledge from others, similar pain points, and try to improve that. Yeah, sorry, Anil, you're saying something. That is my.
I see. Yeah. So I think you're saying that when the link downgrade happens, there is a MSI method exists today?
There is a MSI mechanism the spec gives. Okay. But it works on some devices. It doesn't work on all devices. Okay.
Reporting method gap?
Yeah.
I see.
Okay.
So yeah, because Okay, maybe I was jumping on that. So jumping ahead on this thing. So the way this issue was solved in the past, let me just leave it there, right? I don't want to say too much on that, was by adding an error reporting method
Mm,
whenever there is a link speed or width downgrade happens.
mm,
Okay, so once we had that, then it it reused the same reporting method as an AER. And then the error handler can pull the information about the link speed downgrade upgrade. I think the method that might be there in PCI spec today is very kind of ambiguous or very rough sketch of defined there. So it's not very clear for any implementation, for any design person to go and implement it. And that may be the reason why we are having this problem.
yeah, I think, like, let's add, like, others may contribute, maybe, like, want to, like,
So Rama, I'm going to assign to you right now, right? And you can add more details here.
yeah, like, I want more contributors also, but I'll add the initial thing. I want to go to solution space with you.
Yeah. Let's get the pain point listed document here. Then other, of course, whatever work we do here is all combined contribution, right?
Yes.
So I can describe these two pain points right now. Is there something, Yogesh, you want me to do to bring everybody on the same page and what exactly this pain point really means and scope of this?
Oh, the first one was added by Drew, right? Yeah, we can start on this.
Yeah, this one, that's why I said I can't talk about it. I would rather have Drew talk about it.
Right.
Because I have not really synced up with him on this one. And so this one, since I added, I can talk about it. So right now there is a gap in the way the spec is written and the implementation exists today for PCIe error reporting mechanism. The way it is defined through this OSC method is the negotiation happens the OS first versus firmware first, or it could be OS first versus out of band first. Although out of band is not specifically defined in the PCI spec, but the thought process would be same. The way it is defined today is that all the error types, corrected, uncorrected, and uncorrected non-fatal fatal, these are three severities, would be either controlled through firmware or OS. If in an implementation, if you want to do, let's say, correctable error through the OS first, and then uncorrected error through the firmware first or out of band, then that mechanism is not clearly articulated in the spec, and the implementation also is not exist. It does not exist because spec is not clear. Is not clear, or rather assume that all the error types need to be either supported firmware first or OS first. So the use case of splitting the error types has not been very clearly articulated, and therefore implementation doesn't exist. So that's a pain point. And why this is important in the cases, especially in the application use cases like what we have in Meta, where we own the whole stack. Since we have the control on the various error type reporting, when it comes to the correctable errors, because correctable errors do not crash the machine, and there are a lot more correctable errors than uncorrected error, almost at least 1 order of magnitude higher percentage. We want to process correctable errors through the OS first method. OS first method provides a lot more flexibility for us to monitor them, compute error rates, and very precise error type, sequence of error types, develop remediation flows, preemptive or proactive or predicting future failures. If we have to do it out of band, then sometime when there is a storm or lots of correctable errors, because we have to always use the filtering method, if we have to do out of band, some sort of thresholding, we lose that fidelity in predicting any future failures. So we want to implement an OS first method for PCI correctable error reporting. Whereas for uncorrected error, because we can't guarantee the application running or kernel operating normally, we want to route it to the out of band method. So that means splitting the error type, severity type between OS first and OS out of band. That is what we need, and it doesn't.
Here, somewhere first you refer to BMC, right?
Traditionally, firmware first was referring to SMI, but now it's BMC based.
Okay, maybe can you add that just in the comment? I like that way you're going. Yeah, if you can put like firmware first.
Yeah,
You-
firmware.
You need to explain that, Anil.
Yeah.
Because I'm lost as to why you would want to do an out of band for uncorrected.
Because for uncorrected errors, I don't have any theory that machine, from a host point of view, can operate normally. Kernel may panic, may not panic. I have no control on that, and therefore, I want to monitor those out of band and collect the information. And either I may independently reset the machine, or at least propagate that to my own tooling to look for any other signals before taking any action.
Yeah, and I think I would differ with that explanation. By definition, normal I/O errors will allow code execution. Now there are some exceptions when a device misbehaves badly enough to cause credit starvation, for example. We might not be able to execute code in that condition. But
when you say normal, Mark, you mean uncorrected normal or correctable normal?
No, I mean uncorrectable.
Can you give me example of uncorrected normal where code execution is guaranteed?
Any IOMCA. The idea is it's an IO error, and by definition, code execution should be possible. That's the simplest possible case would be, error non-fatal from an endpoint. And the idea being that would normally be processed in the runtime. It would not be, now it is a crash because the error itself will manifest as PCC equal 1. So there won't be any recovery possible. But the idea is managing the event, it can be done in band. That, that part of it should be fairly straightforward. Now, it's not a 100%, right? The idea is there are some instances where a device will misbehave badly enough that it can prevent us from being able to execute code. But we have, mechanisms to account for that as well. But the idea is that, IO errors, for the most part, should be dealt with, in band, because I think those errors ultimately need to be dealt with promptly. If you allow those errors to fester, then they can, obviously cause a lot of air pollution and collateral damage to the point where, you might have difficulty, understanding what actually started everything. But in the end, I just think any of the uncorrectables that are IO events certainly should be managed in band.
So
I have a
that-
question.
Mhm.
So we seem to be using in band equals to OS first and out of band equals to firmware first. Is that what we're saying here?
No, out of band is indicative of a BMC. In band can be OS or SMI.
Okay.
Not
Yeah,
not
actually,
for IO. For IO, it's either SMI plus BMC or OS.
yeah. So by the way, I presented this one in this OCP Global Summit. Those who attended that, I try to clarify that here. So in band versus out of band. So when it comes to in band, it could be either OS first or firmware first. They both are in band. And out of band is primarily the BMC and then access the data from the BMC.
Okay, thanks for the clarification.
Yeah, and
So-
ultimately, I think for uncorrectable errors that are in the IO space, in band is the appropriate response, either for firmware first or OS first, depending on which entity owns AER.
I beg to differ, Rama. Sorry, my Mark. And let me try to clarify something here. I think so. I agree that IO. First of all, IMCA is a very vendor-specific terminology. I don't know if all the vendors would support a similar method. Okay, because there's no spec defined for that. When it comes to spec defined, right, it is just severity through AER. And how do you map those severity? What kind of signaling is also implemented specific. And if you look at this diagram here, right, from a spec point of view, there is a spec defined MSI, which is shown here through this root error status register, and then these errors can also be rerouted, and this is where it is left to the platform specific implementation. And this could be routed to either BMC through the error pins, or map it to an SMI, and like you can still call in band, but it's the firmware first method.
All right, Anil, what are you pointing to there? I can't, it's too small to read.
Let me zoom in. How do I zoom in here? Right here.
And Vilas, you can also zoom at your end. I think I just did that because I was not able to read anything either.
All right.
Is it better?
Yes.
And I apologize, I kind of did a shortcut and took a cut and paste from one of the document.
Yep.
If this is if I miss something here, platform vendor specific, then I will modify the diagram. But just of this one is very simple. What is actually defined in the spec? But the spec is very ambiguous. Even spec doesn't have even this level of clarity. But we managed to actually draw this more clearly. So if you look at here, right, when the error are detected and propagated, could be corrected, uncorrected, they all flow through the root error status. And from here, spec defines two methods. One is routed to MSI, or routed to root control to a platform specific implementation.
Yep. Okay, I got it. Thanks.
Okay.
Yep.
And this platform implementation could be either SMI or could be error pins.
Well, yes,
Okay.
but the idea is MSI would be OSO, the AER, and the error severity registers would be SMI if we were in firmware first.
Error severity would go much before that in the AER domain, right?
Well, you're talking about, an originating end device generating an error message, and you're defining the propagation through the bridges, right?
Mm-hmm.
But the output is, non-fatal error and those outputs there on the lower right, right? Your endpoint is in the upper left. That's where the error message generated. And then the output is on the lower right. So the idea is that if the platform negotiated OS ownership of AER, presumably it would propagate to MSI. And then,
Yeah.
and if it was in firmware first, it would propagate to SMI.
Correct.
Yeah.
So that's the OSC method negotiation in the boot time.
Yes.
And it's simply modulate these two registers, root error command and root control.
Yes.
And if it is if through the OSC method, if the firmware takes control, then the firmware will modify this register, make it 0, all 3 bits, and set all 3 bits to 1. So
That's
that
right.
all the errors, and by the way, you're right, I'm showing here only the message comes from end device because that was the intent of the drawing actually. But one thing I have not described here, and maybe I should clarify that, I will update the diagram, is the local AER or the errors reported within the root port also flow through the same logic, which I'm not showing here actually. And eventually it will flow through the root error status and then from there to the MSI or SMI. And if the OSC method, OS takes control or OS requests control and firmware gives the control, there is a terminology syntax there, then OS will override these 2 registers and they will, OS will write these 3 bits to 1 because these 2 registers are OS visible and will clear this register so that all the errors will generate MSI.
Yeah, agreed. Yeah. Based on ownership and the negotiation in OSC.
Right.
So
now
I think that's perfectly legitimate.
Right. My problem here is that if I want to implement a solution where correctable errors generate MSI and uncorrected errors generate either SMI or error pins or R2 error pins. In today's implementation, I cannot do that. I have to surgically change the kernel to accomplish that because OSC negotiation doesn't have any way to communicate that.
Yeah, that is true. It is a whole AER negotiation, not individual error pins.
Correct.
But I would say that you probably could do what you're interested in doing. I don't know that I would call it legitimate because the idea is you could allow firmware first to take control and enable the pins on the lower right, and then come in with your OS and enable the other pins to signal MSIs for specific errors.
Yeah, and that's exactly what I did actually. But that's the kind of kludgy way of doing it. I want to make sure that we make the change in the spec itself and modify the kernel AER OSC module so that there is another field in the OSC OST method clarifying the severity also.
So you want to break down the OSC negotiation between correctable, non-fatal, and fatal.
Per severity. I want to do it per severity. So that
those are the 3 severities. Right?
Correct, exactly. So that there is another field added, and that's where I think Carlos, I think somebody from your team was volunteering to write ACM. And if anybody else in this forum is interested in participating in that, as a part of this request or this discussion, this work stream here, we want to write an ECN for PCIe SIG firmware stack. Okay, firmware stack is where the OSC method is defined.
So let me ask another question, though, Neil. So an MSI is not required here, and the idea is only one error bit can be set until it's been cleared. So why wouldn't you just poll? The idea is that you can get the status and clear it and count them and, you know, get the information you're interested in by just polling. And that doesn't even violate the OSC, right? You could let everything negotiate just like it does today, and then just set up a polling agent to look at corrected errors.
Yeah. Well, first of all, polling has its own penalty because I need to then periodically poll, and how fast I can poll. The daemon running is constantly busy. I don't want my services to be impacted by this agent. We try to avoid polling methods, let's put this way, because these errors don't happen all the time.
No,
And-
that's right. But that's why you set up a slow poll, and when you see errors, you increase speed. So
but the thing is, when you see error means what? There has to be interrupt, right, to see the error.
no. Well, no. I mean, the idea is you just have to look for them periodically, and when you see them, consume them, and then note that if you are seeing them, every time you poll, then you have to increase your poll rate. But
Yeah.
the idea is having the MSI. I'm not sure that it helps, right? Because it essentially won't be any better than polling, because it once the error is present, it won't clear until a driver reacts. So the idea is that there won't be a huge difference between an MSI generated corrected error that you will then ultimately have to come down and clear before it will be rearmed.
Yeah, I agree with you. Again, I'm as a principal, we are trying to minimize these polling services. Okay, and yes, once the error is logged, it doesn't get clear. So I have liberty to now come later on, whatever polling interval is. But still, I have to kind of fine tune this polling interval, and there's always a gap. If I set the polling interval, let's say 10 seconds. So for the duration of 10 seconds, I don't have any visibility into any error, right, until I come in and check. Whereas if I do an interrupt method, then I will get the notification as soon as the error happens, and I can process it and then be quiet.
Yeah, that's right.
Right. So interrupt method is always a more efficient in my mind. Of course, I understand there are some risks with interrupts also, because there is trauma handling and all that needs to be implemented. But I think it's a more elegant, more I would say least impactful to the applications. And when I'm running something on a host, I need to be worried about that.
Yeah, I mean, you could make the point it's a more robust implementation.
Mhm.
I would just point out that you could do the poll and it would work, and it may not be quite as robust, but it would be functional and provide the information that you're looking for.
Yeah.
The idea is getting the spec changed to do OSC negotiation for error severity. I would say that process is likely to take years.
Well, it doesn't. For EDPC, the changes that were done, right? Of course, it took some time for that also, I agree, but it was not a year. The whole EDPC ECM was developed, and I think maybe 1 quarter, I think, if I remember, to get to some decent level. Of course, it took a little more long time to finalize everything. But yeah, so yes,
Well,
it
no,
takes
but
time.
the reason it takes that length of time is because everybody has to buy in,
Correct.
right? You're not talking about now just the platform. It means all the tier 1 OSs also have to participate.
That's
So
right.
so that means everybody will have to make those changes, and that's what'll make it difficult, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm serious when I say it could easily take years, not because it's difficult, it's just because it impacts everybody.
Yeah. And I'm okay to get the final version in 1 year, right? As long as we have a buy-in to the PCSA committee that this is the right direction, we can influence the kernel stream, right? At least the mainstream kernel, right? We can make the changes and upstream it, and then after that, let the ECN take its own time to fully materialize and fully baked in and then approve it. So because we move very fast, right? I mean, once we get this clarity and alignment, we'll just implement it. At least from the OCP forum here, right? What we want is, first of all, is this a legitimate pain point? Are we thinking in the right direction? Can we implement it? Is it feasible or not? As long as we get that clarity, right? Then question is, okay, how much time it takes? Fine. If final version takes 1 year, that's fine. We will still implement it.
So real quick, right? Mark and Anil, I think the initial point Mark made was that, in-band is appropriate for IO errors, right? I guess I mean, I think you've gotten a little farther afield from that point. I'll just point at Mark, just one thing, right? I mean, I generally agree with you, but there are use cases where someone doesn't want to use SMM or equivalent on the system, at which point, in-band only, the platform vendor loses visibility to, these errors, right?
Yeah.
So I'll just
Yeah.
state it as like, there's a different way of looking at it that would imply that there's a use case for out of band here, right?
Well, I think the point I was making is if we're talking about uncorrectables, they probably need to be handled in band just because the time dependency.
Side effects could be too detrimental to the and also things like static data connection and whatnot.
And the idea is, I mean, in band, obviously, it would depend on who had negotiated ownership of AER. And in this case, it could be OS or platform. But yeah, I just said, my point was the uncorrectables probably do need to be processed in band just to make them timely. As far as the point Anil is making here, I think, is that he wants to be able to monitor corrected errors, right? I think that's his, purpose here is how do we architect a solution where corrected errors can propagate and be visible and be consumed in the simplest possible way. And obviously the MFI would likely be the preferred implementation there. But without a breakdown of severity in the OSC, there's not really a clean way to do that, right?
Yep. And it's not such a huge task to make this change. And I'll tell you, I mean, when the OC method was written, right, we didn't thought about all these kind of use cases. So we kept it simple. Now with the use cases in hyperscaler, we're driving those changes, right? I mean, the use cases. Therefore, it makes sense and there's justification now. So we should push for it. And I don't think anybody will have any hard, conflict or pushback to not entertain this change.
Yeah, I would agree. I mean, I would also just point out that, yeah, if you claimed ownership of AER and OS, in your case, OS ownership, then you could configure it that way and get everything you needed.
Yeah, so that's exactly we actually implementing right now. But there are some challenges, right? I have to still use the mainstream OS, and mainstream OS will take control of all three of them, and then I have to override them to route it to SMI, the uncorrected error. So there's a time lag. Yeah,
right, but that's if you don't want to process in the OS. I mean, again, I think uncorrectables would certainly want to be processed in band just for a timely response.
No, but so Mark, that's why I was challenging you earlier, right? In my opinion, uncorrected error, whether fatal, non-fatal, I cannot guarantee. Even like CTO, master board happens all once, I have no clue whether application will have some data corruption or not. So I cannot guarantee operation, and I want to.
Well, no,
machine
but
down.
but again, I want to differ there because it's, the question isn't whether your application is going to consume all apps. That I think is always going to be potentially a problem, but you mitigate that problem by guaranteeing a PCC equal 1 so that nobody continues execution. So
Yeah, I get it, but that's a very
Guys,
specific.
I think we should pick it up right here next week. We are losing folks really fast, and I think Vilas's martini is also getting warm at this point. So
yeah, I can hear the martini stirring in the background.
Yeah.
It's a really good discussion, and I think one of the things I think we need to also do, Anil, is to add. I think that this one has multiple actions, right? We are not only talking about PCI SIG, but also ACPI, right? So we should probably start listing those things out, right? Where we need to ask for.
And the kernel.org, right? Linux
Kernel.org,
module.
of course. I mean, once it's an ACPI, they need to be picked up, right? Yes, but you're right.
Yeah, but we have to get a buy-in from them because they are the one who will make a lot of noise. Why should I change? What's breaking?
Yeah, the handling part, the driver, right? I guess, yeah.
Writing
So
a
yeah,
spec is easy, by the way.
Right here next week. Yeah, let's pick it up right here next week. I think you already made the default choice. It's PCIe that we are going to be talking about for next few weeks at least.
Okay. Yeah, I'll add more clarity here, and let's continue next week. Thank you. Thanks for good points, Mark. By the way, I really appreciate your inputs, and Vilas. Thank you.
Yep. Thanks, guys. It was a good discussion. Thanks, guys.
Yeah, interesting discussion, and relevant. Right?
Yeah. Thank you.
Thanks.
Hey, can I ask a question? So in order to make this hardware fault management and all this handling work, right? I feel like most of the implementation falls on the chip vendors and the OS providers. Am I correct? Because the chip vendor
Primarily, yes, that's right.
And the hardware designer just need to know this chip support this architecture like RAS API, whatever, and they'll pick the OS that have similar implementation, and they both work together. Now, as a logic designer, I just make sure that my in-band and out-of-band management logic it's well designed to support this, right? Well, is there anything else that I need to do as a hardware designer?
No,
I mean,
in fact,
sorry, Vilas, I think I'm interrupting you. Maybe you're going to say the same thing. Go ahead.
yeah, I was just going to say there is a pretty significant role for the platform vendor here in terms of firmware, right, and reacting to it, right? So I wouldn't discount that. Sorry, go ahead, Yogesh.
Yeah, I would say the chip design point of view, the PCIe spec already has defined the flow correctly. So I don't expect any change from the silicon implementation from what it's already there.
So I think what we're talking about from where the change is taking place, what we're proposing, I think some of the things are being identified here as pain points or not serving the needs of the industry as they are currently in the spec. So some of the things need to go into changes of respective specifications such as ACPI or PCI SIG or maybe even JEDEC, right? So those things, once they become part of the spec, then it's upon silicon vendors to be spec compliant. And then, like Vila said, platform has a role to play because the other piece of the puzzle is software or firmware that is designed by the platform.
And I mean, the other point is there's a lot of optional capabilities in the PCIe spec, right? And from speaking now from a chip designer perspective, right? If, this work group agrees that, one of those optional capabilities solves a key pain point, right? I can go back and make sure that gets implemented in the hardware, right?
That is good. That's a good point.
So
That's
Lots
just
is
like another
optional.
piece of this. Yeah, exactly. There's a lot of stuff that's optional, right?
Yeah. So this OCP discussion, right, will drive towards some kind of key requirement that we can notify to chip vendors. Okay, even though specs is optional, but most of the hyperscaler will need this or want it. So it'll become part of the requirement document.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
I hope everybody has a great weekend.
Yep.
Yeah,
Thank you.
yeah.
Thank
Thanks a
you.
lot.
Bye.
Thanks a lot.
Bye. Thank you. Bye.